Welcome into Extra Point. I'm Jim Funderburg, along with new Bears head coach Grant Redhead. And Coach, good to have you in Bryan, Ohio.
Thank you.
You know what? I'll tell you, I think an awful lot of folks have heard about you, okay? But maybe this is the first time they're going to get a chance to see you. And you're a pretty good-sized fella, so I've got a sneaking hunch that there was a day that you played a little football on your own, too.
Just a little bit, you know, played some offensive line in high school and college.
Where did you come from, for the folks that are watching right now?
I was originally from over Wadsworth area and moved to Florida when I was 10. Sat there, came back to Baldwin Wallace and played football in Cleveland in college, and returned to Florida for 19 years. I guess took a wrong turn on I-75.
There you go. So when did you graduate from Baldwin Wallace then?
Graduated in '96, and I stayed on for the '97 season and coached there as a student assistant or grad assistant, and you know, learned a lot of good things from my head coach Bob Packard, and just decided to go back to Florida. I had some really good opportunities there in the school district that I came from.
For the folks that are watching right now, describe and compare the school district you came from Florida to what they would see right here in Bryan, Ohio. How big? Division-wise, where would your Florida school fit up here? We
would have been a Division I. We had about 1,900 students. Okay. We were in the second largest in the state of Florida. Last year I played at a school with 3,400 kids. You know, there's some massive schools down there. The bad thing is you don't get to know all the kids and you don't get the relationships, and that's why I ended up here.
Yeah, you know, an awful lot of folks have said that. How in the world did a guy who has the credentials that you have, okay, because they've all heard Sammy Watkins and all types of D1 type football players coming out of your program down there, how does a guy like you end up in Bryan, Ohio?
Well, Bryan had the full package. You know, I had been thinking about moving for a while. My wife and I both have all our family up here, so we were pretty comfortable with the north. And, you know, when the job came open, it was a little later. I looked into it. Great town. Great facilities, good football program, so I didn't have to come in and totally revamp or rebuild. So it was just a great situation, and you know, I got lucky enough to convince them that I was their guy.
You made a lot of heads turn, I think, when you came up here. In fact, I was talking to our superintendent the other night, and she said that she really didn't understand once she got your resume and heard from you that this was real. They said they had to pinch themselves a couple of times, because when they started to look at who you were and where you were coming from and how you presented yourself, they just weren't sure whether they were being hoaxed there at first, is what she said. How's that?
Well, yeah, they thought somebody in the league might have been playing a joke on them and saying, oh, hey, you know, who sent this in? I don't know if this guy's real. When they did the research and went online and things and saw that I had built that program from scratch and done a lot of good things, you know, I got the interview, and they told me Monday morning I got it. I flew up Tuesday afternoon and had the interview Wednesday, and they called me on Thursday. So, you know, kind of bang, 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 everything went right. You know, I should be playing the lottery, I guess.
I guess so. You should have played it a couple of months ago, no doubt about that. But you know what? Everybody's happy to have you here. The reputation preceded you. I think everybody has started to look into your background, said, wow, you know, there's often times when we have a hard time getting anybody to come to Bryan, Ohio, have to overpay, overbeg, whatever, or steal somebody at times. What brought you back to the area? I mean, are there family around this area, or what got you wanting to come back to Ohio all of a sudden?
Well, family was it. My mom had passed a couple years ago,
okay,
and I didn't have any family left in Fort Myers, so my in-laws are in Battle Creek, an hour and a half away. My uncle's in Novi, a little under 2 hours. I've got family in Columbus, family in Wadsworth. You know, they're all over the north, so it really didn't make sense for us to stay down there. Plus, I wanted to bring my daughters up in a town like Bryan, you know, a good, small, Midwestern town where, you know, everybody knows everybody, you know, just a good community. That's the thing, you know. The facilities and the football were great, but the community was better. I spent all day before the interview just driving around town, looking at town, stopping in the restaurants, doing things like that, getting a feel for it. And, you know, well, I told my wife, I said, when you see it, you're going to love it.
Your wife is part of the school system here. You're teaching in the middle school, and your daughters are in school. Could you give the folks watching a little insight into the family right now?
Oh, it's fantastic. My wife Jennifer teaches 8th grade science. My daughter Lauren's an 8th grader, and I got a daughter that's a 5th grader. And you know, in Florida, we had to drop our youngest off at morning care at 6:30 because I had to be at work at 6:45, and my oldest had to wait for 2.5 hours for her friend to come pick her up from the house. Here we all go to school together. You know, it's a good school. They loved it from the first day on. You know, life is just great. right now in Bryan, Ohio. I got to tell you that.
Well, you know what, we're very happy to have you here. Obviously, when Kevin Klein decided to make his move last year after the success he's had, you start to look for another coach. You hope you find somebody that's got the experience that you have. But in reality, I think everybody resigned themselves to probably a younger guy, maybe their first opportunity coming into this program and trying to make things happen. To get a guy that's got 20 plus years of experience like yourself and a football background like you have, man, it's great to have you here. Let's talk about the coaches, because the one thing that I was happy about, that entire coaching staff and this entire program pretty much stayed together. And I know you had a big hand in that, because I've been told that almost from day one, you were looking guys up, bringing them over to the house. There were cookouts, there were all kinds of things going on.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to keep them. When I talked to Bryan Arnold, who was the AD then, I said, well, what about the staff? And he said, well, I've talked to them all, and they all said they want to stay. They're going to be involved in the process, but right now they're all in, and it's your job to keep them. I started talking to Coach Miner, the defense coordinator, Coach Kuzmal, Coach Goodrich, and really reaching out to the coaches and just getting to know them over the phone. They helped me immensely because they ran the weights program while I was still finishing up my school year in Florida. But as soon as I got here, second night, guys were over. Third night, guys were over. We just sat there, had pizza, talked about football, got to know each other, and that's the wonderful thing here too. Everybody's in the community. My coaches aren't spread out 30 minutes in every direction. We can get together, we can talk football, we can have our families together, and it's a great relationship building thing being in a small community.
Now, you've got a situation here that is a little difficult to start with. We're building a brand new school, so your practice field that you thought you were going to have is now basically all torn up. You're over, and that's where we're doing the interview from today here at what is going to eventually be no more. It won't be part of the school system at all, but you're now in the elementary fields over here. Has that been difficult for you guys to transition into a practice field like this one?
Well, slightly. The field's great, and we need green grass to practice. That's the biggest thing. We knew there were going to be some speed bumps in the road with building the new school and the facility. The biggest thing, told the coaches and I told the administration, we're going to be positive about it. We're not going to complain about it. We're just going to do it. And when I started the program at South, we didn't even have a practice field. We had to walk across 2 parking lots to the Minnesota Twins grass parking lot. We had to police it for bottles and cut glass and, things like that, pick up all the broken shards of glass every Monday because it was difficult. So I've been to difficult, and this isn't that bad. Also, many of my kids are able to drive, so it makes it easy. They kind of use their car as a locker room. They change at the high school, come over in their pants, and just put their pads on. So the kids are doing well, the coaches are doing well, we're making it work.
This has been a whirlwind for you, I would have to think. Have you been able to get your system in place here during the practices that you've had, Coach?
Actually, we have. We've had good weather. We haven't been lightninged off but 2 days in the whole preseason. So I've got the offense installed. Now where we take it from here is what the opponent gives us. We focus on different areas. They've all been introduced to it. And, this week it's not really that bad because there's things that we can do against Van Wert. We've put them in. We've ran them for 3 weeks. So the kids should be ready.
This program is sponsored by Tompkinson BMW out of Fort Wayne, and they're the home of the ultimate driving machine. And we kind of thought that was appropriate because watching your offense, that seems like that's what you want to do with this offense. It needs to be a driving machine.
Yes, sir.
It seems like this is more of a running program than what we're accustomed to in the last couple of years.
Yes, it is. We're transitioning more to a power offense. We got good size on the line. We've got good, strong physical backs. Speed is better than average. It just lends itself to it. And, you've got to be able to control the ball, get the defense off the field, do the things that, win football games, flip the field position. So, we've put a big focus on defense, and we've also sat there and put an emphasis on running the ball.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, the first game is coming, Coach. We're going to take a break here in the extra point, come back and set up that Van Wert game here when we return to the extra point. Welcome back to the extra point, brought to you by Tompkinson BMW, the home of the ultimate driving machine. And Coach, let's talk a little bit more about this football team right now. You've had a couple of scrimmages, okay? I know the Anthony Wayne scrimmage didn't go the way that you wanted to necessarily last week, but I think from every one of these scrimmages, you probably took an awful lot out of them and they were able to get back in the practice field and correct some things and change some things. What did you take out of the Anthony Wayne scrimmage?
Well, we took some good physical hits in Anthony Wayne, and we kept bouncing back. So I know that the team can compete physically. They had good speed, so we worked today on tackling angles, pursuit angles, just making sure we get guys in the right spot, not running around things. You know, it was the best team that we had scrimmaged to date. You know, they got progressively better. You know, Defiance and Hicksville are both two decent teams. Anthony Wayne was a step up, being two divisions bigger than us, so that's good. You know, you want to play people like that because that's what you're going to get in the playoffs.
Sure, no doubt about that. Coach Arnold, you mentioned him a little while ago. He did you no favors with this schedule that he set in front of you right now. You open up with Van Wert on Friday night, okay? Van Wert's a team that basically has a coach now that this will be his 4th season. Started out with one win, got 3 last year, okay? Obviously, he has a senior-laden team where you're a younger team this year. You've seen some film, I would bet, by now on these guys. What are you seeing with the Van Wert Cougars?
Well, they're big and physical. You know, overall team speed is average. They've got some really quick guys. You know, up front, they're big and physical, though. You know, we're going to have to sit there and use technique and use the things that we have. You know, blocking angles, use some pulls, a little misdirection, you know, but we're still going to run right at them because there's some things we can set up off of that. They're a good coach team. The biggest thing is, you know, they haven't experienced the winning.
Right.
And that is a little bit of a plus factor. You know, I've been down the road in the playoffs. I've done those things. I know how to get kids ready for a big game. So that's what we're keep focusing on. Nobody's going to feel sorry for you, so you just got to get it done. And, you know, get that lunch pail mentality that we just got to go to work every play and get after them because it's going to break. If we get in a tight situation, and they do, I hope our kids are going to come out on top.
You know, I've told an awful lot of folks, they ask me about you, and I say he reminds me of an old-fashioned football coach, okay? He's not a finesse guy. He's not a kiss you on the boo-boo type guy. He's the type of guy that's coming out, coming to work, and wants his team to play the same way.
Yeah, we definitely got to roll our sleeves up. You know, that it's not two-hand touch, it's tackle, and it's full contact. So they gotta have a little grit to them, as I like to say. And I tell the boys, you need to get a little gritty now and bow your backs. And you know, they did in Anthony Wayne, and I think we will. You know, we're developing. You know, and they're transitioning. It's more of a transition year. It's not a rebuilding year, but we have to find our niche, and we've got to find those guys. And we're still moving people around a little bit to try and get the best 11 on the field.
You've got a small senior class right now, but I'm sure there's several of those guys that are going to have to come through for you this year.
Definitely. You know, we've got some good players. You know, David Rummel's doing a great job, so is Chris Whitler. Brant Hall's a pretty good nose. You know, we've got some players in that group that are doing everything we ask and trying to lead. You know, Jacob Kuba's doing a good job. He plays a little bit of both ways. So is Corbin Garza. I could name them all. They're really embracing the system and believing in it instead of, well, Coach Klein didn't do that way or Coach so-and-so didn't do that way. Right. You know, they're all in, and that's the way they have to be.
Your junior class is a little bit bigger, okay? And as you go down the line, you get a little bit bigger as you get into that 7th and 8th grade class, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But there's some juniors, including the starting quarterback right now, that are going to have to play big for you this year, I think.
Yeah, Blues has definitely got to step up. You know, he's got a great arm. You know, he's a smart kid. He's got great feet and can run the ball, you know, and he's doing what I'm asking him to do. You know, you can take the ball on a read, get upfield, get your yards, but then get down and be ready to play the next play. 7 yards is fine. Don't go for 8 and get hurt. So he's smart on that aspect. You know, throwing the ball, he's still getting used to the reads and things. We try and put people in a bind, you know, a corner or safety and cause some conflict, you know, with their assignments. But he's getting it, you know, and he'll be all right. And, you know, he just needs to get another game or two under his belt.
No doubt about that. I've been impressed, too. You allow him to make some decisions at the line of scrimmage. So that means you've got some confidence in that young guy to be able to come up and read and audible basically at the line of scrimmage into a play that you guys have predetermined, but he's got to make that decision at the line.
Yes, we have a couple check plays that I like to run. If they stack the box, you know, we don't want to pull a guard or do something to where we're going to be 2nd and 15. What we want to do is we want to just get on a body, you know, and go run a zone read type concept. You know, he makes the direction call and runs the check, and you know, it gives us at least a line of scrimmage or possibly a big play. You know, I've done it in the past, and we've gotten 2-3 yards and we've busted them for touchdowns. It's just, it depends how it opens, but at least we're going to have something positive.
I've also been told that it really doesn't matter what class you're in with a coach like you. If you're playing the best and the hardest, whether you're a sophomore, a junior, or a senior, you're playing Friday night.
Absolutely, you got to earn it, and they earn it Monday through Thursday, and they got to show up every day, and they got to get after it and practice. You know, that's true competition. You know, I take care of the kids that have been in the program, and you know, we want them all to play. Okay, in a perfect world, the guy that's worked for 4 years is going to be that guy. Okay. In our world that we live in today, it's not always there, but they all deserve to win, and that's why we put the best on the field that do it every day. And you know, the kids got a clean slate with me. You know, I didn't know any of them. Hey, don't know how you performed last year or the year before, but I know I'm going to judge you on your performance now, and the best 11 are going to get the shot.
Man, that's fantastic. When you go down a couple of levels there, 7th and 8th grade, they're practicing out here too, and the numbers in that level, 7th and 8th grade, look extremely good. In fact, 30-some kids on both levels, it looks like. And I also was standing there as a kid walked past me the other day who's 6'4" and about 2 1/4, and I went, that kid can't be an 8th grader. So there's some talent coming through the pipeline right now. You've got to be happy with the younger program too.
Well, I am. You know, we've got great coaches with our junior high program, and Coach Miller does a fantastic job with kids, and so does Coach Billman, Coach Montgomery, Coach Keels, new to us this year from Dayton, and those guys know football and they know kids, and they're doing a good job keeping them involved and hooking them. You know, we want them to come out and we want them to stay out, and we want them to play and enjoy the experience. But those classes, you know, we keep them and keep developing. They're going to be all right.
Freshman class is a little bit small. I hear they're going to play some JV ball this year, basically. Is that how you're going to do with those guys?
Yeah, we combined. We had 14 to start, and then we had a young man that moved to another district. So down to 13, you don't want to put them in a bind where if somebody does get an injury, I don't want them having to try and play through it. It's going to make it worse. And two, you know, if we don't have someone at that position, we can't make substitution. So with our sophomore group, we've got 5 or 6 sophomores that are going to play on Friday nights. So that sophomore group and that freshman group have molded well to make a good team of about 35 kids that they'll be able to go and play competitive games and all get to see some action.
Coach, I think everybody's going to have a lot of fun watching you on the sideline, because I have a sneaking hunch that you're going to be up and down that field a little bit, and there's maybe a voice we'll hear every now and then that comes from a young guy named Coach Redhead too.
Yeah, I might be booming a little bit. And it's got to come from here. It can't come from the voice. You got to bring it from the core.
Attaboy. Well, I think you've got the core to be able to do that with, don't you? Huh?
Yes.
Neither one of us are going to ever be associated with any kind of running back or wide receiver position.
No, I'm the biggest quarterback coach in the league. I joke about that.
Well, that's fun. Last couple questions here, Coach. Let's go back to Van Wert. What's it going to take really for our guys to be able to get a victory on Friday night?
Oh, we got to execute. That's the biggest thing. Special teams is going to be huge. We've worked them every day. I know you've been out quite a few times, and you see us working them and working them and working them. A lot of guys let that stuff go by, but that's a huge part of the game, especially for field position. So as long as we don't make a big mistake on special teams, give up a 6 on a kickoff return or a punt, you know, we're going to be okay. As long as we execute, we got to just sharpen the sword. You know, it's there. We just got to get sharper at what we're doing and stay consistent. You know, we take 3 steps forwards and 1 step back on Friday. We just can't have the plays that put us behind the sticks.
Last question for you. You're not a young guy in this business necessarily, but it's the first time on the sideline for the Golden Bears. Will there be a butterfly or two in that stomach on Friday night as you get things going here?
Oh yeah, I get excited every Friday night. You may not be able to tell. I have to stay calm for the kids, but you know, little hamster wheels going 100 miles an hour in my head. Just because if I don't get excited, I don't want to coach. You know, and every Friday night, it gives me a chill. I get goosebumps. Kids used to laugh at me. I said, see, there they are. You know, when I'm giving the pregame speech, and, you know, that's why I still do it, because I still love it.
No doubt about that. It's got to be good to start it at home, too, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's always best at home week 1.
And the next 2 weeks get tough, but we'll look at those down the road. I guess past that, we'll wish you good luck on Friday night.
Thanks, sir.
And it's always great to have you. We'll be back with you every week here on BMU TV. Extra Point with Coach Grant Redhead.